5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
In 2013, after 9 years, Alex Bennett got let go by SiriusXM satellite radio for reasons yet to be known. Was it his salary? Was it his advancing years? Or did he just suck? The truth will never be known. Last year, SiriusXM, knowing that their old and rusting satellites were yesterday's technology, bought into the internet by taking over the streaming service Pandora. Well, we suppose that Alex has finally snuck his way back into the SiriusXM orbit, presenting Alex Bennett's Ramble on Pandora. Get Pandora and get Alex, but don't tell SiriusXM. If they know he's there, they might dump him again. The Ramble from GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
This is an Internet Network news break. IP Pingsley reporting. Our top story, the Great American Broadcast Network, otherwise known as GabNet, is now a TuneIn partner. TuneIn, the world's largest audio network, has joined forces with GabNet, the world's most innovative talk network. GabNet's partnership with TuneIn means that listeners now have three main ways to listen to GabNet programming: Gabnet.net, TuneIn.com, and the convenient TuneIn app for smartphones. To participate in the network's innovative citizen panels on GabNet programs, use Skype and type the handle GabNet Live, or call on your phone 347-352-0079. For more information on this network, its programs, and its hosts, log on to Gabnet.net. That's Gabnet.net. This has been an Internet Network news break.
Spotify has 180 million monthly users and access to 35 million songs and podcasts. Now, all those offerings are going to have to move over and make room for GabNet programming. Yes, at long last, Alex Bennett's Ramble, Damian Chaplin's Exchange, Jack Bishop's The Intersection, and even the franchise MC's Arena and Michael Snyder's weekly movie reviews will be fighting for space on this massive platform. Each day, the programs are updated, so you can hear them on the Spotify app, available for all smartphones and game consoles. Or you can just go to Spotify on the web at Spotify.com. So, give us a shot on Spotify. There's a 35 million to 5 chance we'll get people to listen to talk like they've never heard it before. What makes GabNet talk like you've never heard before? Well, it's the citizen panel concept. Our talk hosts talk to a whole group of people at the same time. Want to be a citizen panel member and add to the conversation? It's simple. First, download Skype. Answer 4 simple questions during the install. You know, your personal stuff, first name, last name, email address, and most importantly, the ID you want us to know you by. Then, from Add Contacts on Skype, enter GabNet Live. Become a contact, and you're ready to go. Now, if you're a Luddite and you hate computers, you could use the telephone, just like Grandma had back in the day. Call 347-352-0079 to connect via voice. Don't be shy. It's fun and addictive. Now, the last time I did this promo, I said if you don't call, I'd kill my dog. Of course, I was kidding, but then I accidentally killed him. So, to replace Fluffy, I got this cuddly pussycat. And now, if you don't call, I'll kill this cat. Don't worry, Sylvester. I won't let them hurt you. I'm not kidding. Call now or Sylvester gets it. Again? 5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Live from Harlem, New York. Hey, everybody, live from Harlem in New York. It's the Alex Bennett Ramble. and we go until, midnight. And here I am. How are you, everybody? What we're going to do tonight, I like doing this every now and then because our friend Will Durst is under the weather, as it were. And so we every now and then like to remember our discussions with him. So here we go, back about a year ago, I think, something like that. This is the second time we've tried this, and the first time we had a cat involved.
Sorry, we lost the cat.
Yeah, but now we got you in sync, and that's good.
But I'm in sync.
You're in sync. That's a good thing.
I think that is important.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Will Durst, and his cat was Eloise.
Eloise was here, but she's not going to make the cut.
Now, what are the names of your other cats?
Just Madeline. Eloise and Madeline.
Okay, named after basically heroines of books.
Yes, children's books. Very good.
Yeah. Anyway, how you doing, Will?
Shitty. Life sucks. The world hates me. I'm living in a cartoon. My car is messed up, but it's 13 years old, and I think going on 14. So I think I got to get it's about time.
Are you kind of the Larry Bubbles Brown of cars?
No, I think he's still got his Fiero.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A Fiero?
I think didn't he have a Fiero?
I think he had a Fiero. Yeah.
Yeah, with a Dukakis bumper sticker on it.
Yeah. So,
you don't even have a car.
No, I haven't had a car in so long now. I wonder if I know how to drive anymore.
Oh, you don't even rent?
I've rented, but not recently. We used to go up to Vermont, once a year. And I would rent a car and drive. But then as years have gone on, we're flying now. It's a little more, it's not, I'd like to say it's it's more expensive flying, but it really isn't. Here's the reason why. If you go into Hertz and you rent a car, and you say, I want it for 3 days.
Yeah.
Okay. It's going to cost you about, I think it was, what was the price that I saw on it? Something like $500.
For 3 days.
Maybe $600. Yeah. For 3 days. 3 days. Yeah. But if I rent it for a week, it's only $320.
Yeah.
So I've got to rent it for a week. So now we got to figure out so we fly. What the hell? It's cheaper than renting a car for 3 days.
And do you stay at a hotel? Or
no. We have some friends who have a very nice house there on the lake, I think Champlain it is. Yeah, and it's really
right there
nice.
In Burlington.
It's very nice. Burlington, yeah. Near Burlington.
So you fly into Burlington.
Flying to Burlington, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so the last time I drove was about 3 years ago, maybe, and I just don't know if I know how to drive any longer. The idea of getting behind the wheel of a car feels strange to me now.
Well, once you get out of New York, driving is fairly easy, but you probably know your way around New York. You know the freeways.
Yeah.
I've never been more discombobulated as trying to drive into New York to, where was I going? JFK, I think, from Woodstock. I was in Woodstock, and I had to drive my car to JFK, and the freeway signage was not very good. So I got very confused. I think I paid the same toll 3 times.
Yeah, well, that could very well be. I don't know. I mean, when I lived in California, I had a car, and it was like I drove ever since I was like 16 years old, when you could kind of get a learner's permit, and I drove everywhere. I mean, I just, I got out of the car and then I got back into the car. And if I had to go up to the pharmacy, it was 3 blocks away. You got in the car, right? So, I mean, I drove everywhere, and I can't imagine that I don't know how to drive anymore, but I'm afraid of it.
No, you know how to drive.
Yeah.
You get in there. The thing is, the cars, the technology is so different. my car died, and I had an up-to-date car in 2007, 2006.
Yeah.
And I'm renting a car right now, and all the bells and whistles are incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but isn't it
In a creepy way?
Doesn't it have a tendency, mind you, to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of throw you off because of all this new technology in the car, you know? I mean, all of a sudden you got this big screen in front of you that's sending you information, you know, and you're distracted by that. I mean,
I don't have the overhead projection part. No, I just have the little screen on the right.
Yeah.
No, they have in deck in the windshield. They have.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Yeah, that they used to have in jets. They have that now.
Is it my imagination? Let's say I rented a car 3 years ago, and it had some new technology, but I knew I could figure it out pretty well.
Yeah.
But in 3 years, I think it's like immensely improved, the technology, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, the audio technology. I still remember when we were under the thumb of the radio guys, you know, where you had to listen what they listened to, and then the cassette came in, and then the cassette, you could determine what you were listening to, and now.
I mean, wait a minute. You could also then the CDs came in,
and the 8-tracks, and
well, 8-track cassette CDs,
and then it was the streaming and the satellite radio, and now you with no effort whatsoever from your phone, you can send to the radio. So you get all your podcasts, all your saved radio shows, or all your playlists. You can send that to your car, and it will play it out. And you won't run out down your battery because there's a charger right there. It's incredible. I mean, I listened to Greg Proops the other day in a rental car off my phone because I have his podcast. So that's what people are doing now. And I did not know this because I did not have a car that came even close.
Wow, because because what I did and have done is they always tried to rent me a GPS. All right, you want a GPS with the car so you can take you where you want to go. And so I don't need that anymore.
Oh.
It's in my phone.
Yeah.
You know, it's part of I don't know, the iPhone. I can't remember which app it is, but it's the map app. And you just say, I'm going here.
And the Google Maps and Apple Maps.
Yeah.
And they're all pretty good.
And so what I do is I plug that into the car that I'm listening to my music on.
Yeah.
Okay. And then as I'm going, she'll interrupt the music and say, turn left here, turn right there. In 30 miles, you're going to have an off-ramp, whatever. Yeah. So you don't need that. So that's why the rents on cars are so high, because they can't sell you all that other shit.
Yeah, my joke is it used to be only NASA had GPS units, and now I have 2 of them, one in my car and one in my pocket.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, and I remember I was one of the first people to get a GPS unit in my car. Do you remember? Do you remember me when I had a GPS unit in the car? And what I loved about it was when somebody would say, "Oh, okay, so we live over the hill, blah blah blah," and I would say to them, "No thanks, don't tell me. Just give me your address." And they would say, "Well, why just our address?" I've got a GPS; it'll take me there. And then I just put in the address, and it would take me there. And I always loved to brag about that. I loved the GPS. I couldn't live without. And it was one of the first ones. I think it cost like $2,000 to put it in the car. And now you don't even put one in the car. If you don't have to buy one, you just use your iPhone.
You need a holder for your phone.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, what do you think about things political these days? Anything?
Paying attention. I don't care.
Huh?
Except for the State of the Union. State of the Union was, I thought he gave a pretty good speech.
Yeah? Why? What was good about it? Tell me.
It was rational. He wasn't, eating fire, or it wasn't blind revenge. It was, except what he said, no, you shouldn't have any partisan investigations, or America will go to war. Except for that part. And also, he claimed responsibility for more women in the Congress than ever before, even though out of 127 women in Congress, 106 of them are Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't even mention that. Yeah.
Would the Me Too people be mad at me if I said that?
Yeah, stop right there. Yes.
You know what I'm going to say?
No, but it doesn't matter whenever you preface a statement with, I don't mean to sound racist, but...
No, I didn't say racist, sexist.
No. You said the Me Too movement.
Yeah. Me Too,
what?
Sexist.
So, yes, they will be mad. What was it?
I was going to say Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is hot.
No, I don't think they'll be mad.
Yeah, because every time they would take a picture of all the women in Congress, the new ones, she just lit up. She just, there was like an aura, there was a halo around her,
But what about her idea that Israel shouldn't exist?
No, that isn't Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah.
That's the.
No. Yeah, it's also Alexandria.
Oh, really?
Also, yeah.
Well,
she's a big fan of Palestine.
Yeah, I am too. So I don't care.
Okay, no problem then.
Yeah.
Not Judea. You're not a big fan of Judea.
I've never been a big fan of Israel. I think Israel is very warlike. I think that they never learned any lessons from being in concentration camps. I don't know. I'm just bothered by it.
So, what do you think about these Democrats coming out at the same time? Did you see Amy Klobuchar?
Well,
in the snow?
Yeah, but
great visual though.
What?
Great visual with the snow.
Oh, really? Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
That was Minnesota. That was Amy Klobuchar.
Yeah. Well, what do you think of some of these candidates? I mean, I think the Democrats haven't come up with anything interesting yet.
You know what was interesting was last night, and I didn't get to see it because I had to go out to dinner with a friend from out of town. But last night was the dueling El Paso rally.
Yeah.
With Beto and Donald. And that would have been interesting because Donald just made up these lies and said something about El Paso. And, that was, might have, out of a story like this, he might have picked like that part right there and this part and put them together and made it the whole story. And so Beto, whose district El Paso is, who he was talking about, he held an opposing rally, and I have no idea what happened.
Yeah, I saw that he had an opposing rally, and they didn't talk much about it. They mentioned it, which leads me to believe that he didn't get a big crowd. But I don't know. I haven't. I at this point, folks, I have to go look at the news and find out for sure. But when they're not saying, look at all these people that showed up for this thing, you got your New York Times there, huh?
Well, yeah, but it's intact. I haven't pulled the paper apart yet.
What do you pull out first?
Front page, New York Times. I read the front page. And then I read the editorial page. Yeah,
because in the San Francisco Chronicle on the Sunday paper, everybody used to say it's like a grapefruit. You take the pink out first. Oh, man, it's driving me crazy. You go into sync and then you go out of sync. It's really, thank you very much, Skype. Yeah. So you felt that his State of the Union was cool. Or that he was better.
No, I didn't say it was cool. I thought it was rational.
Yeah.
It was rational. Yeah, there were a couple of overstatements. There were he took credit for shit that he had nothing to do with, and he made wildly optimistic predictions. But that's what the State of the Union is. That's what everybody does. Even Jimmy Carter did that. So so that was surprising. There was no American carnage or any of that. But then he just lied throughout the entire thing. But I just meant the tone was much more civil than in past years.
There's this show on Showtime called The Circus. Mm-hmm. And it deals with politics every week. And this week they dealt with the State of the Union. And it opens up with an old, grainy black and white of the State of the Union with, I think, Truman. And then he's saying the State of the Union is good. And then they go to the next president, Eisenhower. The State of the Union is good, and they go to the next president. The State of the Union is wonderful or whatever. And then they finally get to Trump, and he goes, the State of the Union is, and then they go to shots of fighting, arguing, kids in concentration camps, all these horrible things that have happened under Trump. And then they come back to him, and he goes, the State of the Union is terrific. Or whatever he said.
Yeah.
They always say that no matter what's going on. They always say the State of the Union is good.
Well, they're president, so they're kind of responsible. So they have to reflect it as being good. Otherwise, people would say, "Well, what the hell are you doing about it?" And why? What do you mean it sucks? State of the Union sucks.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. But I mean, I just felt that. You're right. He kind of maintained his place as the good boy the other night. He was the kid who was told by his parents, now, don't make noise at the dinner table.
He used his indoor voice.
His indoor voice, but most of it wasn't taken up with things that most presidents are always. Who are you waving at?
Say hello.
There she is.
Hello.
That's the funniest woman in America.
Yes, she is. According to Alex Bennett and Robin Williams.
That's the lovely Deborah Durst.
Hello,
yes,
Alex.
Yes. And how long have you two been married now?
37 years.
6 of the happiest years of my life.
Those 2 weeks.
37 years.
Yeah. Do you remember at the Punchline when John Hutchinson held a benefit
It wasn't Hutch. It was
Bob
Fisher.
Bob Fisher.
Held a benefit for you. What do you mean?
Yeah. Well,
to send us off to Vegas. We were dirt poor, and we decided to get married. So he held a benefit for us, and Stephen Pearl drew the poster, and everybody performed for free, and we got the money at the door and ran away to Vegas.
Yeah.
Wow. And that was 37 years ago?
Yep.
Fuck you. Quit reminding me how old I've gotten.
I know. It's weird being able to throw numbers like that around.
Oh, jeez almighty. I guess I've known you that long.
Yes.
Yeah, you have. Good grief. And you don't look a day over 20.
Oh, yes. Shut up. Yeah.
Well, I have to go to the bank now and yell at people.
Okay. That's what old people do. They go to the bank and yell at people.
Yeah. And then they give you some free tea and cookies. Just go away. Love you.
I love you too, Deborah.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Or as she's known in the business, Debbie.
Debbie Durst. Debbie Ann Piquel Durst.
She's actually gotten more movie work than you, hasn't she?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. She's. What are some of her credits?
She was in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Voice.
She was in Monkey Bone.
Yeah.
She was in Monkey Bone. What else?
Beautiful Boy.
Oh, she was in Beautiful Boy. Have you seen the one with Steve Carell?
I saw it, but where is she in there?
She's just an extra on the street on Haight Street when he's looking for her.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll go looking for her.
Yeah. No, looking for his son. I'm sorry. Looking for his son.
No, but
she was in another movie, and I can't remember.
Yeah. Getting back to what, about his State of the Union. So he had his indoor voice on, but nevertheless, he spent most of it not saying what presidents normally do about, here's what I'd like to accomplish in the next year. here's what, I think we should be, the direction we should be going. There was none of that. It was just either listing his own accomplishments or pointing out people in the audience who were like Holocaust survivors and,
Yeah, that poor kid, the cancer kid. Oh, man, she being used as a prop by Trump, Yeah. It's not bad enough to have cancer. And he didn't mention kids in the cages. He didn't mention a lot of shit. He didn't mention Vladimir Putin. He didn't Maria Butina. He didn't mention Paul Manafort. Or
do you know who one congressman, and I can't remember who the congressman was, brought to the State of the Union was a Guatemalan mother and her daughter who came into this country, and they went to the speech too. But he didn't point them out and say, "Here's some Guatemalan kids who came over the border seeking asylum." No, it was Holocaust survivor, World War II vet, most of whom couldn't stand up, and the one who could stand up was saluting the president. It was. Yeah. I find that part of it kind of pathetic. I feel like I'm watching a cheap version of the Ed Sullivan Show.
I know.
And in our audience tonight, we have Shecky. So
I don't like the idea of human props.
Well, but
they all use them. I know,
and they always use them at the State of the Union address. But at least with most State of the Union addresses, they don't talk about their accomplishments as much about where we're going and where they would like the country to go. And there was none of that from him. It was all about me. Here's what we've done. Unemployment is the best it's ever been, which is a lie. A lot of lies in that speech. I think
a lot of lies, and a lot of standing ovations. A lot of lines where the Republicans would stand and the Democrats wouldn't.
Did you like Nancy's clapping in his face though? At the
Yeah, what was that? Patton Oswalt called it the "fuck you" clap.
Oh, really? Was that it? Okay, yeah. Because they're replaying that one a lot,
And her relationship with Mike Pence. Mike Pence, and this is my line on stage, but Mike Pence is stiffer than Mitch McConnell wearing buttless chaps on a gay pride parade float. Mike Pence was just. And, oh man,
Pence is like a toady, isn't he?
Yeah. He's like a toady wrapped up in a Bible.
And he's always like 2 steps behind the president, everywhere, in everything. He's always in the shot.
Never interrupts. No. He's the scheming toady.
Yeah.
He's like Iago.
Do you think there's part of him that wishes Trump would die and he could become president? Or that he would get...
what would be ironic is if Trump got taken down by the whole Stormy Daniels thing, because then Mike Pence would become president because of a porn star, and the irony would melt him.
Oh, boy. Oh, son of a bitch.
So what do you got coming up?
Me?
Yeah.
Nothing. Death, I think.
Soon?
Yeah. Soon. Not soon. Not soon, hopefully. But that's, I always had something to look forward to. Hey, on Friday we're going to the movies, or on Saturday we're going to L.A. or something like that, And I was always out doing something, and now the only thing I have to look forward to is death.
Well, see, that's why you set up appointments that you go to the movies. Have you seen any plays?
We went and saw, what was it? We saw something a couple of weeks ago. Evan Hansen.
Oh, Dear Evan Hansen.
Dear Evan Hansen, yeah. It was good. Not my kind of show exactly, but I liked it.
It was okay.
Yeah, but you're the guy. You're the guy. You're the guy who got the obstructed view seat of Network.
Yeah. Did you?
No.
Did you see Network?
No. It's too expensive. You can't get a ticket for it.
Get the obstructed seat. I'm telling you.
Really?
Call up the box office.
I can't remember. What was obstructing your view exactly?
The stage. I was in the front row. The stage was right here.
Really?
Yeah. So everybody was up there. So
okay.
Your neck. That was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
For $89.
how much? $89?
As opposed to $489, 3 rows over and 3 seats in.
Yeah. So what's the weather like in San Francisco? Let's see out the window there. Let me just see. This is a daytime. Oh, that's a nice view. It's kind of overcast, right?
Yeah, it's about 53. It's gonna rain.
Yeah.
It rained and rained, and tomorrow it's gonna rain again. And then Friday I go to Mendocino for the Mendocino Film Festival. Mm-hmm. It's not the real festival; it's kind of an adjunct. And then next week I go to Reno, and next week I'm doing 142 Throckmorton, which is a great little theater that they've resuscitated in Mill Valley. And so, yeah, just working and...
yeah, see? So you have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So I will live vicariously through your future.
All right. Yeah. I'll try to post more shit on Instagram.
Ladies and gentlemen, there he is, our old friend and comic supreme.
It's always fun.
Will Durst. Bye-bye, Will.
Thank you, buddy.
5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Yeah, we love Will. As you know, Will has not been well. I don't know how to put it any nicer. And I'm in constant contact with Debbie Durst, which is his lovely wife. And he's coming along. I can't say that it's by huge jumps, but he's slow. He's getting better. Okay, by measures. I guess that's the best I can say. I don't know if I'm allowed to say much more than that. I mean, it's gonna be a while. Okay, it's gonna be a while. Those are some noises, by the way, that our lovely thing here makes. Our Skype makes, because I've turned it on, which means people can now call me, and I will put them on the program and hope that everything goes just fine. Okay. If you're wondering how my test turned out, my biopsy, well, I waited around the house all day long to hear from the doctor, and I didn't hear anything. Whoops! So apparently, probably there are no results yet. Oh, hey, here comes a guy. Gee, we've seen him now. This is the second time we've seen him in how long? Let me see here. About a week. I guess it was last week that you called, and then you that's Sibby Itty. Wait a minute. Let me do this. There we go. And then we lost you last week. You just because you work, right? You're at work right now.
Yeah.
And so somebody either caught you talking to people on the job or whatever.
No. I think I lost connection because I was trying to use the Skype on my tablet.
No, I see. Okay. All right.
On this one.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it was so fuzzy, and I thought I had a connection issue. So now I have my laptop set up today, so I'm assuming it's better.
Yeah. And you know Phil here, don't you?
Yes, I know Phil.
Dr. Sibby, how you doing?
Yes.
Good.
Sibby, who used to be a right winger, but now he's not.
Now, I'm still a conservative, but a John Kasich type of a conservative.
Okay.
I supported him, and I think he was a middle of the road, not too extreme on either sides, with experience, and he spoke well, in all the debates. He had made some good points, but,
Yeah. But
you
can't compete with a guy who insults other people,
Yeah,
I guess.
that's the problem.
That's the problem.
I was listening to news today. There's some interesting information about Nunes that's coming out, which is I found that very interesting. That he had some backdoor dealings with the Parnas, the Russian or the Ukrainian guy, Giuliani's friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was going, trying to scheme a meeting with the guy to find some Russian, Ukrainian dirt on.
This wasn't one of the two guys who got arrested here.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
it is.
yes.
Oh, okay. So Nunes was thick with them, huh?
Yes, and I think his lawyer is saying that my client said that he talked to him and he wants to come and talk to the Congress. That's going to be
you just know that Nunes has got something bad going because he's such a absolute.
Yeah, I feel sorry for these people. Conservatives. They're just being railroaded. I don't know why. Lindsey Graham. I really feel that there's something going on with Lindsey Graham. I don't want to sound really bad, but after McCain was gone, he wanted a man in his life, and he found Trump. I think.
That's an interesting.
Someone to bitch slap him every time, and he found Trump.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yes, Phil.
Vladimir, do you have the pictures of Graham with the nude pictures of Lindsey Graham
playing with himself?
Yeah. Well, when I see a guy like Nunes, or who's that other guy? The guy Jordan, yeah, who never wears a jacket. I don't know why. I guess he doesn't like to dress for the occasion. And when I see guys like that, I just know that someday they're going to get something terrible on them. They're just too, and on Jordan, they've got some stuff where he was a coach and he let some things go by. Yeah, there's something with
the kids. Yeah. But the thing is, in a functioning democracy, you should have a good opposition.
Yeah.
My problem, the thing is, what scares me is that if this is the norm that's going to be, and someday there's going to be a Democrat who's going to be a, president, and what if they come with all the extreme ideas and stuff like that,
Well, is this
weakened opposition like the Republicans right now?
My question would be to you too, Phil. Is this the new normal? In other words, do we have to be insulting? Do we have to be gross? Do we have to be off-putting in order to win?
I think in 4 years or 5 years, when Trump is gone to greener pastures, that the attitude and the he's setting the bar, or he's creating the atmosphere.
He's lowered the bar.
Whatever you think. But he is setting the atmosphere that because he's punching back. The Republicans rarely punched back when attacked in previous
Phil, I disagree.
years.
I disagree with you about that.
Yes, I disagree.
No, you had the McCains
no, but there are a lot of people who have punched back, but they don't punch.
The Bushes.
They don't punch back with a closed fist. That's the difference.
Okay, that is the difference. And so what's happening here is they've encountered somebody that's a street fighter, and he has.
No, he's not a street fighter. He's a thug.
He's not. If he's a street fighter, right? He would fight dictators. He's scared, and you get that feeling that the man, he looks for someone who is a dictator, and he tries to get cozying up to them, like Kim. You know how many times this fat bastard from North Korea humiliate him?
Be careful with the fat bastards.
No. No, the thing is, last week he had, he made a statement that I don't want to give any more meetings with Trump. I don't want him to take credit for this. We are not ready for anything. He is talking down to the American president, and Trump has nothing to say.
Well,
he's calling him Rocket Man anymore. He can't.
People like Kim, who even Obama said is probably one of the most dangerous people in the world at the time. Vladimir Putin, and a number of these other despots. Now, what Trump's style is, from what I can figure out, his negotiating style is to first lash out and then try to become friends so you can negotiate. It's almost like what was that, Alex? That thing they had in the '70s with Werner Erhard Est.
Yes,
First he beats you down, and then he brings you up. The Marines do the same thing in their training. I have a feeling this is Trump's negotiating style.
But it obviously
you may not like it, but that's his style.
Obviously hasn't worked because now Kim is just basically telling him to eat shit. Is what he's doing.
But he's given Kim some rope. Maybe Kim is going to hang himself now.
Kim will never fall in line as long as China is supporting him. And China will never stop supporting him because North Korea is a market for Chinese rejected.
Well, there are only 3 communist countries left in the world, and North Korea
you want a
is
fourth
one of them.
Called America.
No, I don't want a fourth
I don't
called
think
America.
Americans would ever, embrace a communist ideology or their way of life.
Yes, I'm a socialist, but that's not a communist, Phil. Let's be very honest about it.
One tick away.
No, not one tick away. Big difference, because socialism is it is really a form of how we handle money and how we appropriate money and so on. Where communism is an institutionalized thing in which the people are under its thumb, and it's a totalitarian way of doing things. So
I would like to bring out this is not a change of subject, but what's happening with Iran right now, and that Trump has been putting maximum pressure on Iran with sanctions. And it seems to be working because Iran doesn't have any money, and they're funding Hezbollah and a number of other proxy wars in
I guess
region.
I'll have to say, Hezbollah, you're on your own.
Yeah. So anyway, what's happening is the people are taking to the streets. They're protesting. I guess there was a big gas increase from the subsidized gas that the government had. Yeah. And the people are in the streets and they're marching with American flags, similar to what's going on in Hong Kong. And there's going to be a test for Trump with Hong Kong and China. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah. But what's happening in Iran is that they're saying, the people are saying, they're uprising, and they're saying, look, you've got money to fund this action, this stuff against Israel, this stuff in Lebanon and Qatar. What about us? And if the Iranian people had, 45, 50 years ago, we had a very good relationship with them, and they were nice people. It's the government there, and what Trump is doing with his maximum pressure going after Iran. You look at Kim and so forth. Well, maybe he's just waving him away at the moment, but what he's doing is working in Iran. He is being the Congress is trying to undermine what he's doing with China, getting back to the China thing. Because of the sanctions, China's economy has been affected. Now, Alex will say, no, it hasn't. But
no, Phil, and I'm going to tell you why it hasn't. Because you refuse to understand that, okay, so we're not doing business with them, or we're doing tariffs, or we're doing this or that. They've got the rest of the fucking world. I mean, the economy of India is larger than the economy of the United States when it comes to doing business.
But India makes stuff and sells it.
No, but India also does a lot of business with China. China's doing business. China's attitude is this: you don't want to do business with us? Fine. We've got the rest of the world to do business, and who want to do business with us. You're living with the Trump myth that the Chinese are in trouble because of what he's been doing. And you know what?
So
they are not in as much trouble as we are from what he's been doing.
Are you calling Maria Bartiromo a liar?
Yes.
All right. So anyway, what's happening is they're coming up with a House bill. I don't remember which number it is, but to ask Trump to condemn China and what on the protests in Hong Kong. Yeah. Now, that's not going to help his negotiations. Of course, the American people condemn China for what they're doing in Hong Kong, but it's almost like they're trying to sabotage the Dems are trying to sabotage his negotiations with the Chinese by doing that.
No, I don't think they are. I think what they're saying is there are people. We have always, as a country, come to the defense of people who are being put upon by their governments. We've done that continually. And we pride ourselves in that, Phil. And what you're asking us is to stop doing that.
I'm saying that the timing isn't great.
No, the timing isn't great, but, if he thinks he's doing business with China, he's not doing business with China.
Well,
okay, to begin with, he is one of the worst businessmen in America. Everything he puts his finger on turns to shit.
The Midas touch in reverse.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad you admit it.
Finally addressing, he may be bad, with casinos, but isn't he finally addressing the intellectual property issues? That's what's hanging up here. China doesn't, and
not that much.
They're not playing fair.
No. And this isn't. They'll go. Okay, so you don't want to do business with us?
That's what you think.
Wait a minute, Sibby. What do you think? Jump in here. And by the way, where's everybody else tonight? Here we are. We're 20 minutes into.
They're praying.
I think it was a bad decision for American companies to take our design and technology and move it over there just for the sake of getting it manufactured cheaper and then bring it over here. Mm-hmm. It was a bad move. They have the plans, they have the technique, they have the design, they have the protocol blueprint for everything that that needs to be manufactured. If tomorrow they say, okay, you pick up your bag and you go 24 hours to leave Chinese shore, and Americans will have to leave.
Well,
they did that.
This has happened before, if you remember correctly. Hold on a second. This has happened before. You remember Japan, where they took all our ideas and then they what's the word they go and do when they take a technology reverse engineered it and came up with better stuff. I mean, we had color TV, so they changed the way they made color TV so they wouldn't infringe on patents and bettered us at our own game. They came out with the Sony Trinitron, which was a much better looking television set than the RCA 3-dot system. Okay, so. This has gone on constantly, and
reverse engineering.
And by the way, we've stolen from other people too.
Doesn't make it right. Reverse engineering is not as big a crime as what the Chinese did.
The idea of reverse engineering, Phil. The idea of reverse engineering is to take something
and steal it,
and steal it, but steal it in a way that you're not infringing on patents. That's all.
But do the Japanese respect our patents today? I believe they do. I think they respect the rule of law. The Chinese do
actually,
not.
we probably respect their patents because they probably got more than we do.
My friend George, his dad spent 5 years in a Chinese prison camp. Mm-hmm. He was an American in the late 30s, and he was buying fabrics in China. And he wound up, there was some sort of overthrow. I don't remember the exact year, but he spent 5 years in a prison camp because he was an American. And I can tell you this: if you set up companies there, it's almost like in Russia where they set up companies and then the government just comes in and says they're ours now. Thank you very much.
They can do that.
By the way.
I'll tell you where China has an advantage over us, and it's not a good advantage. Okay, it's not an advantage we would want here. But for instance, I always use an example. They said at one point, within the next 5 years, every community in China is going to have Wi-Fi, going to have free Wi-Fi, and all they have to do is just wave their hand, and it shall be done. There's nobody in their whatever they call their parliament or whatever that thing is they have.
They don't have to pass.
They don't have to go through all this legislation and all that. They just wave their hand and say, it shall be done. They did the same thing with the fast trains.
Yep.
They just went, in 5 years, we're going to have a high-speed train going to Shanghai, and within 5 years, there was a train going to Shanghai. And the only person that had to make that decision was the leader of the country, just waved his hand. Now, we don't have that kind of country, but on the other hand, we can't compete with that kind of thing either.
Well, and we certainly can't compete if they keep stealing our technology.
Phil, they don't,
and they do it in a way where they leverage it. We get 49% of the company, they get 51.
Phil,
and they say if they don't give us the secrets, they can't operate here.
Phil. If they're stealing from us, it's because we're giving it to them. I mean, if we don't want them to steal our iPhones and so on, wait a minute, let me finish. Don't want them to steal our iPhones or our phone technology, then don't have them made over there.
Yes.
Okay? Yep. I mean, of course they're going to steal it. They've got everything they need in order to build their own.
They have the blueprint sitting right on the table.
Yeah.
Why would they have to? They just have to just look at it and make.
We gave it to them. They didn't go steal it somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, we gave it to them because we had greedy businesses that were allowed to go there and do that.
And they're still doing it. They're still doing it.
And there was no incentive for them to stay in the States. Trump is giving them the incentives through tax breaks, allowing them to bring their money back into the country, and putting tariffs on these products so that it's not a benefit to them to continue to operate in that sphere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is anybody else going to call? Is this it? I can't believe it.
You only have.
We had
American Patriot on the thing, and it's only you, Alex.
Yeah,
answering?
What happened? But look at how many people are watching.
Yeah, there were
37. That's good.
Yeah, 37 people watching.
Well, here comes Vernon Nunn. Okay, so he can do the rest of the show in Morse code. Okay, let me see here. Let me. There we go. There's Vernon Nunn, ladies and gentlemen. Do that again, and I'll do something that I grew up with. Just start going with your thing. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the ships at sea. Let's go to press. Who was that?
The modulation.
Right.
That was Walter Winchell.
Walter Winchell. That's correct.
The modulation of Vernon's Morse code overcame your voice.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah, it didn't melt.
Well, no, to you, but not here on the air.
Oh, okay.
Not here on the air. It's just fine. Hold on a second. First, let me see here. Who am I putting up here? Oh, here's Patrick Blazik.
I think Tony for Queen's here.
Okay, wait a minute. Tony's here. Okay, hold on a second. I got to put.
Looks like Tony's falling asleep.
Looks like Tony froze.
I got to put Tony in Webhead. There he is. Okay, Webhead. Are you there, Webhead? Hold on a second. Let me turn this on. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. There we go. Wait a minute. I'm trying to get Tony in here. Okay, wait a minute.
Tony's gone.
Tony's gone? No, there's Tony.
He's back now.
No.
Oh, I'm back. I got disconnected.
All I care about is what I've got here, Phil. What's going out. I don't care what you see or don't see. Let me see here. Darth Pat, there we go.
Are you saying you don't give a shit?
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. There we go.
Vernon's got his hand.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Oh, I'm still trying to get Darth Pat in here. Hold on a second. Oh, that's just simply because I didn't. There we go. I'll do that. And there he is. Okay. Hello, Patrick. Yes, Vernon has his hand up.
I want to do my impersonation of Trump negotiating with China. You will do it my way, or I will hold my breath.
Yeah. A great negotiator. He's gotten everybody over the years so snockered by the fact that he's supposedly a good businessman. Well, you want a good businessman? Bloomberg's running for president. He's a much better businessman than Trump ever was.
That's a much better businessman than either one of them.
And by the way, he started out with nothing. Yes, Patrick.
I think on this panel we have the better businessman in Tony. Tony with comic books worth thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and what are we all doing? Jerking off.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Tony, you are paying income tax on your income from the comic book sales, right?
You want to laugh now? When I make a sale, eBay puts the taxes in there when I'm bill.
They started it now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I see it. I just sold the book for a couple hundred, and there's the tax.
And they take the money.
I keep it separate though. My guy Charlie.
Well, but that's good. That's good. They do that. Okay,
Yeah, they should. Actually, they really should.
You go on a game show, and you win some money. There is a guy from the IRS off stage.
But it's a real loser because let's say you win a spa.
Like
let's say you win a spa. And the spa is valued at $5,000. You got to pay $2,500 in tax for a spa you don't want, and you couldn't sell for $2,500 if it was the last thing in the universe.
Where did I hear that happening with some people?
Can you sell the prices for cash? Like, say if I don't want to go to the Caribbean or something.
Yes, you can. No, yes, you can. Here's what happens backstage. They also tell you if you don't want the spa, we'll give you so much money for it. And then you pay the taxes.
Remember on the Odd Couple, they took the tuna fish.
Because I watch like The Price is Right, and I see I see the showcase. I see the showcase, and I say, who wants any of that shit?
I want the money. I said, give me the money.
I want a trip to Bahrain. I'm really looking forward to that.
United States, Alex. I don't want to go there. I'm afraid I won't come back.
But I mean, the tax people are there waiting to get their money. And good for them.
Back to the Trump thing. Did you see what happened today with the vaping? Mitt Romney sitting next to Trump. They didn't hit each other, and it was an interesting dialogue between manufacturers, retailers, and so forth. And Trump just said, "Okay, bring in the cameras. Let's talk about this." I thought it was very interesting.
He initially wanted to ban it, but then someone told him that you're going to lose a lot of votes, and he said, "No, I don't want to lose my votes, so I won't ban it."
Did they say that?
Yeah, it like 3 days ago it came, and
one day
you're going to lose a lot of votes because there are a lot of your people who support him. They are working in the vaping industry, or they vape.
Well, in one of his the helicopters waiting for me press conferences. He said, I'm going to sign something. I'm going to do away with vaping. Vaping's terrible. It's killing people, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
A couple of days later, I kind of changed my mind.
Yeah, because of the votes. He said he's going to lose some votes. But that's pretty, that's
wait a minute. Patrick has...
That's what we want, a man of conviction.
Well, I'm not so sure that he's not.
Patrick, you had your hand up.
He blows with the wind.
Wait a minute. Let Patrick talk here. Yes, Patrick.
The vaping thing I explained the other night, that it was the Congress or a senator from Wisconsin who were railing against the banning of it, and he was the one who had the president's ear at the end. And it's like a number of us have said, whoever the last person is to speak to the president is the one who tends to be the one that influences him.
Yeah.
And
so does that mean that he talks to Putin every night before he goes to bed?
Putin has the pictures.
I wonder if he is.
He has the pee-pee pictures.
Do you think that happened? He did. Wasn't he peed on Obama's bed? Was that a witch?
Well, no. I think it's either he liked to get peed on, or he liked to pee on the prostitutes in Russia.
I don't think
I thought it was somebody. Oh no, it was Danny Thomas that liked the pee on the.
No, he had a slightly better predilection. His was really terrific. Danny Thomas supposedly, as rumor would have it, loved to have a glass coffee table. Okay, and hello, by the way, to Kevin. A glass coffee table, and then he would like to lie under it, and then have hookers come over and shit on top of the coffee table.
That's nothing compared to the guy, John McAfee. Have you seen his
McAfee?
Yeah.
Oh, the one who was living in Belize.
Yeah. Yep.
McAfee,
Let me tell you, he didn't have a glass table. That's all I can say.
Oh, he just liked them to shit on him. He didn't need the
those those things. What's it called? Where you lay on it. It's like you tie. I'm trying to find the right
hammock.
word.
Oh, the hammock.
Yeah, hammock. He had these women lay on the hammock and had a hole in it, and straight underneath, he would just live it.
Okay, all right. Well, everybody do his own way of getting.
It's a pretty shitty experience.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That really stinks.
But this is the rumor is there are videos of or pictures of this peeing incident, whatever way he liked to do it with Trump.
I think
I can see
Schiff wanted to buy them.
Strange character.
What were you saying, Tony? What did you say?
He's a strange character, Trump, and I wonder. But you would think they would. I don't know. I could see him doing something crazy like that. But you would think it would get out, though. I wish it would get out.
Yeah.
Other than Danny Kaye, he died at 76. He died young.
Danny Thomas.
Oh, I was on Danny Kaye. I thought Danny Kaye was.
Alex killed Danny Kaye.
What?
I was going to tell my mother about.
What do you mean?
Danny
Alex
Kaye.
killed him.
What do you mean? I killed Danny Kaye?
You dragged him out of the studio and he died.
What do you mean? I dragged him out of the studio.
Danny Kaye?
No.
Murray the K.
Murray the K. Jesus, Phil.
No, they're all K's. All the K's.
They're all K's.
There's a little difference between the guy who played Hans Christian Andersen and the guy who used to, hold.
He was the founder of St. Jude's Children's Research. Maybe we'll give money to that.
Yeah, that was Danny Thomas's research place, and Checky and I, when we came.
Checky told me
when
that
I came.
You went. Did you go to his house, or that was the other one? Did he take a tour of that?
No, we drove back from California because I was coming to work in New York. Okay. And we stopped at various places, and one of them was the St. Jude's Hospital because that's where Danny Thomas is buried, And we were standing there in the Danny Thomas Museum asking where the glass coffee table was.
Oh, shit.
Did Danny Thomas's daughter have her nose fixed?
I don't know, Phil.
Well, she doesn't have a Danny Thomas nose.
Where was he born?
Well, yeah, he was what, Lebanese? I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I'm looking at his.
Hey, listen, I got to tell you something. This ain't, no matter what you want to say,
Marlowe.
As many people, I had a friend of mine, Karen Babbitt, whose father was Art Babbitt, who was a Disney cartoonist.
It's on Rain Man.
No, he was one of the biggest. He was one of the main. He was one of the old men of Disney. Art Babbitt, but he was also led the strike against Disney too, for the animators' strike. But anyway, Karen was a comedian, very fine comedian and a writer, and she got a job writing on the last show that Danny Thomas ever did, in which he played a doctor or something like that. It was a sitcom. And
was Uncle Tanoose on that show?
No. Can I finish the story, Phil?
Yeah, well, just giving you a little bit of flavor.
No, nobody knows who Uncle Tanoose is here. Does anybody know did anybody get that reference? No, nobody does.
Come on, Uncle Tanoose was Danny Thomas.
Was it?
Yeah, on the show.
Yeah.
Make room for Daddy.
They all remember the Danny Thomas show. You remember it, don't you?
I do.
Tony, don't you, Kevin?
I do.
Oh, all remember the Danny Thomas show.
Anyway, I think we might have watched the reruns, yes.
Anyway, the point. Can I get to finish the story here?
Right.
So she was working for Danny Thomas and as a writer, and Danny Thomas wanted to see her, so she went into his office, and she had to sit there because he hadn't come into the room yet. He was out around the studio, and so she was just sitting there on the couch, and in front of her is a glass coffee table.
Oh.
And she somehow she couldn't get along with it. It just really bothered her. And she kept staring, and she told me.
That's a definite indictment. There's a lot of people that have glass coffee tables in their offices, you know?
Yes. But in his particular case, she remembered the rumors, and, well, the rest is history. Hello, Jeff. How are you this evening?
I think it sounds fine.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
You got it all fine? You didn't get the audio going wrong or anything like that?
He even turned off his neighbor's computer.
Yeah.
Does the garage door go up?
Not anymore.
not like it used to. Anyway, so enough about the rumors. But he did start this hospital, and the hospital is a wonderful hospital in which nobody ever pays for their child to be.
That's the Shriners that support that, right?
No,
that damn commercial comes on. I just want to write checks every time it comes on.
Yeah, no, but I mean they're a worthy cause. They're not not a bogus cause.
You know what commercial I hate? Cars for Kids.
Well, everybody hates that one.
Then you sing it for the rest
And
of the
you
day.
realize, I was watching that ad the other day. That ad has to have been running for the last 10 years. And I'm thinking, how old are those kids now?
That's probably like
they're old enough to drive.
If I had a TV show, I would like to go out and find out who those kids were and then just have them come on as they are today.
Cars for old
and
farts.
do the song, But
yeah, I think I sold some vinyl to the local Cars for Kids guy, and I think what happens is a little bit of that money goes to some charity, and the rest of it is administrative stuff.
Always.
Well, that's this is what I did years ago. I got tired of doing these. When people would ask me to do benefits, I would do it. They would do a telethon. They say, Alex, would you come on the telethon? And I go on the telethon. And then after a while, I started to check into some of these charities to see how much of their money went to the charity and to the good
Can you
work.
okay, listen.
Well, let me finish, Tony. Let me finish what I'm saying. How much of that money was going to good works and how much of that money was going to administration? And when I suddenly found out that, for instance, cerebral palsy, something like only 40% was getting back to the charity, I stopped doing cerebral palsy telethons.
That's not enough. Yeah.
I also stopped doing cerebral palsy telethon when I went to it one year and they gave us a little pep talk before we went on, and they said, by the way, we don't call our people handicapped. We call them handy-capable.
Didn't they tell you to limp when you went out on the stage?
And I went crazy because I said, I've never heard anything.
That's disrespectful.
It's not disrespectful. It's what's the word I'm looking for, Patrick? Condescending.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
It was just condescending. Yeah. Oh, look at Patrick here.
You're right.
He's not handicapped.
Like Kramer. Remember on Seinfeld, they would
he's handy-capable. Yes, Patrick.
Well, you just reminded me of something. I may have mentioned this on the show years ago, but when I was in therapy and I was still at the hospital during my 6-week vacation there, I had therapy 2 or 3 times a day. Mm-hmm. And with all of the cripples on the floor that were like me and worse, and some, a little bit better than me. And one of the guys was a tetraplegic, which is he could only blink his eyes. Mm-hmm. He couldn't move his arm. A quad can still move their arms and that.
Yeah.
And they had him sitting in his chair, and they were throwing a ball at him. And then when it would bounce off his chest, they would say, "Good try." Nice try. Nothing moving, nothing moving. And I remember sitting there doing my therapy thinking, this kid probably wants to take a gun and kill himself. And everything going on upstairs, he said, yeah, he responds by blinking. And then there was another therapy that they put his arm in a sling, and they would move it for him, and they would say, wow, that was a really good one. And I felt so bad for this fucking kid, and he was only 17, and that was 16 years ago. Now, he's in his mid-30s, and he's probably still, well, by now I'm sure he lost his mind. because if you can't communicate and people are doing shit like that to you,
yeah.
So it's the same thing in the handy-capable. I mean, they're praising him for having a ball.
They were just one step short of sticking their hand up his ass and using him as a hand puppet. You know, I mean, that was terrible. Yeah.
That was one of the worst things I'd ever witnessed.
Well, anyway, getting back to this whole thing about money that was being spent. So I started investigating all these various charities so that I wouldn't get suckered again. And the one that I found, which one do you think I found? The most money went back to the cause.
The Jerry Lewis one?
You're absolutely right, Tony.
Remember?
Muscular dystrophy.
My mother used to always cry when he used to sing at the end of it. I always watched it.
Well,
but he seemed like it was like genuine. I felt bad for those kids.
Did she cry the year he sang it for me?
She might. We used to watch it every year.
Yeah,
so.
But anyway, for whatever I want to say about Jerry. In fact, I said this on the air once.
Was he that bad?
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me tell the story, Tony. I said this on the air exactly what I'm saying to you is that. Well, I don't know. I don't think that much of Jerry Lewis as a performer, but I got to admit that he has really done a great thing with muscular dystrophy because, and I talked about the fact that a great amount of money went to the cause itself, and the station had to send him a letter because they had been put on notice by the government that anytime anybody on the station said something bad about somebody, you had to send them a notification telling them they had the right to equal response, right?
What do they call that? Fair? Yeah. What?
Fair comment or whatever. It doesn't exist anymore. Anyway, so they sent him a letter saying our host, Mr. Bennett, said blah blah blah. Now it's the night of the telethon, and it's the end of the telethon, and Jerry is sitting on his stool, and he goes, and now I'm going to sing I'm going to sing our song, blah 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 blah, and I'm dedicating this to that disc jockey. I hope I'm good enough.
Oh, wow! Jerry got
and everybody in the room who knew what I had said about him stares at me. And goes, and he's saying, "You never walk alone." And I'm going, Jerry is singing, "You'll never walk alone" to me. Shall I go around the room like a gimp or something? What should I do here? Yeah. But
that's funny.
I have to say that what he did for that charity was unmatched by almost anybody, except maybe Danny Thomas, who look what Danny Thomas created.
And they fired Jerry.
They fired him eventually. Yeah. Well, it was going to happen eventually, right? He'd gone past his prime, as it were. But anyway, and
there was a time that all of you guys, all the what would you call them, performers,
mm-hmm.
would have a charity. And, you had to pick your charity carefully.
Oh, I had one.
Yeah, what was that?
Me.
Oh, well, what was George Jetzel's?
George Jetzel's I don't charity? Know. I don't think he had a charity.
Yeah, old people.
No, he there was a talentless piece of shit, that guy. Terrible.
But if they don't know Uncle Tanous, they're not going to know George Jessel. They're not going to
know. How many here? Do you know George Jessel, Patrick? No. Do you know George Jessel, Kevin?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Do you know Quasimodo?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he rang a bell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, so I mean, many times I would be asked by a company to, an organization to be on a telethon or whatever, and I'd say, well, let me get back to you. I've got to check on you. And I would go and check. And if I saw that, under 50% of the money, or maybe under 70% of the money, didn't go to the thing itself, I just that was it.
They say that if it's less than 33% or less in administrative costs, they are saying that the watchdog agencies are saying that that's okay.
Do you know what it was for muscular dystrophy?
St. Jude is 27%.
Do you know what muscular dystrophy was?
It was probably 8 or 9.
Yeah, something like that, about 8 or 9%. Yeah. I mean, it was really good that way, And once Jerry left, that was it.
Yeah.
He
didn't leave. He sent them out on a rail.
Yeah. So anyway, by the way, I got something I wanted to read. You might get a kick out of this. Marjorie sent this to me. I don't know where she got it. This is a new Medicare plan. I don't know if you've heard about this because it's time of year now where if you have Medicare, you get to sign up for it. Are you signing up for it yet, Phil? How old are you?
I signed up last year, but I'm getting phone calls now from every Medicare provider and his brother.
You mean this part for the 20% that they don't take?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, this is Medicare. Man, I've heard about this, but it's available now. It's called Medicare Part G. Okay. You're a sick senior citizen, and the government says there's no nursing home care available for you. So what do?
Call me.
Our plan gives anyone 65 years or older a gun and 4 bullets.
What?
And you're allowed to shoot. You're allowed to shoot 4 politicians.
Oh.
Okay. Of course, this means you'll be sent to prison, but there you're going to receive 3 meals a day, a roof over your head, central heating and air conditioning, and all the health care you need.
That is true.
Nice.
Need new teeth? No problem. Need glasses? That's great. Need a new hip, knees, kidney, lungs, or heart? They're all covered. All right? As an added bonus, your kids can come and visit you as often as they like now. And who'll be paying for all of this? The same government that just told you can't afford to go into a home. And you can get rid of your 4 useless politicians while you're at it.
So there's your Medicare for all.
Plus, because you're a prisoner, you don't have to pay any income taxes. What a great country this is, or what, huh?
And you're complaining that we're not up with Sweden.
Yeah.
Phil, we should have free health care. If they're getting it and they broke the law.
Tony, we should have free health care. You should pay for it. You, with all of that money you're earning, beating up your mother, and you should pay for the health care.
Phil, well, I don't want to get into this, Phil, but we're already paying a lot of money for no health care. Okay? So, it costs us a lot of money. But anyway, so where was I? Oh, yeah, Sibby is there. Hi, Sibby. We always like it when he drops by on the program. It allows us to have 2 conservatives, well, a real conservative and a phony one, on our panel.
Are you calling Sibby a phony?
And then it's a Republican.
And then there's Patrick.
Because Patrick is a Republican. This is interesting. We actually have 7 people here, 8 people with me, 3 of which are to the right. So we are rather, I think, we're pretty good at this,
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it. By the way, I mentioned this earlier. I was told by my doctor. He said we should be getting the results back from your biopsy on Friday, and I didn't hear from him, so I guess he didn't get any results yet.
He's still laughing.
Yeah, I stuck a scope at that guy's ass, and I didn't even take. I didn't even do anything. I didn't even send the.
I got $4,000 from Medicare.
Yeah.
You didn't even get a reach around.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, it bothered me because I was sitting around waiting for the call today, to find out how it turned out, and but sometimes these biopsies take a couple more days, than they expect. So. They may have had a lot of biopsies at the lab this week, and so, whatever. So.
His office was active.
Well, how long did it take you guys to get yours back?
Took about 2 weeks for mine.
Really?
I don't remember.
Why did it take 2 weeks, Vernon? I guess.
I think they had to send it to a lab in Atlanta or something.
Oh, okay. All right. you know.
No, everything goes through Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so he said he'd have some results today, but I didn't hear from him, so I assume he didn't get any results. Or if
So you're gonna be punished over the weekend.
Well, you know what the hell. He says it's not going to kill me. Okay, so
wait till you get the bill.
Wait, well, I don't pay the bill.
That'll kill you.
No, Medicare pays the bill, and then my secondary pays the bill. I was so happy the other day. The dentist. I went to get this tooth refilled, and I figured originally when they filled it, it was $400. I go to my dentist, and they have to do what the insurance company says they have to do. It cost me $157. Pretty good. I felt great about that. Imagine, I felt great about spending $157 on a tooth. You know. So, Sibby, where are you from originally, Sibby?
India.
India. And how long have you been here?
18 years.
18 years. Okay. What made you decide to come here? I mean, there are a lot of other places, I'm sure, if you're from India.
I was working in the Middle East for a few years, then I moved here. My sister was already here, and
that's why you decided to come here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and her, so, you know.
Yeah.
Rather be with my sibling than in the desert by myself.
Now, politically, you say you're conservative, okay?
Yes.
Were you that when you were in India, or is that a thing you kind of came to while you were here?
When I came here, this is what happened. When I came here, I had a very thick British accent, and you know, people wouldn't, you know, they couldn't understand what I was saying. So what I did was I started listening to talk radio. Because I could listen, you know, all the time, because it would play in the background. I could listen all the time, and most of the time it's conservative talk radios. So when I listen to all their talking points and everything, then I feel, yeah, this is what I like. This is where my mindset is. And it was the time, you know, the whole Iraq, the Iraq war was coming, and stuff like that. Yeah. And where all the blowhards from the right were all over, you know, in New York, you have the 77 WOR, all of those channels, radio stations. So I would listen to them hours on end every day. And, you know, then I realized that this is what I want to, you know, this is the political way of thinking that I always had, and now I found an avenue to channel it. So I joined the Republican, the little group that we have here on Long Island, and, you know, I was campaigning and all that.
It's kind of interesting, though. I'm wondering if people who come here from another country have more of a tendency to become conservative.
Yes.
The Cubans.
No, but I mean, well, look at the Cubans that come here. They're almost, you know, really heavy right wingers. You know.
I think it is basically because of what conservatives say and not what they do. You know, they are like a lot like preachers. You know, they would say they are like, you know, you do what I'm trying to tell you to do, but don't do what I do. Yeah. You know, that's what I think. This is what it is. People get, you know, caught up with that whole thing. The notion of that conservative people are, you know, they are the family value, or traditionally, you know, the religious type, or, you know, people who care about other people and stuff like that. But I have seen that over the years, liberals are the one more, you know, they call it the bleeding heart liberal. I think liberals have more tendency to care for other human beings and care for the right of law, the right of a person's independence and, you know, freedom and stuff like that. Conservatives talk about it, but they never put in practice. Yeah. So I think, you know, over time, people realize it. That's why I think, you know, people, when they come in here, they want to be conservatives. But when they live with conservatives and see what they do as opposed to what they say.
This is what kind of is interesting, Sibby, is that I don't understand, is that you say that you are a conservative, and yet you then say the conservatives don't live up to their ideals.
Yes. So I'm a conservative in my belief, and I try to act like a conservative, not like the phonies who just, you know, want power. Yeah. Anybody who's in power, let's, you know, cajole up to him and just suck up to him, and it doesn't matter what he does.
In all deference to Phil, I don't consider Phil a conservative.
I'm closer to a libertarian.
I think Phil talks a lot like conservatives, but I think he does more, liberal stuff like the stuff that you are used to doing. That's why you're good friends with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. I don't know about, your past, but, over the years, I've,
Yeah.
heard you talk.
When I was friendly with Alex, we never talked about anything. No sports, no nothing. We just did stuff, went to movies, and there was no political stuff. It was a different time.
Yeah, I was. Well, I guess I was pretty political back in the day. Hello, Charlie Wallace. He's just joined us, ladies and gentlemen. There he is. Let's see, right over there. Okay,
full screen.
There. Huh?
Not a full house, but a full screen.
But a full screen, not a full. Well, I could go to my other screen, and then it isn't a full screen. But
soon.
Yeah, soon.
That'll be full house.
Yeah.
Somebody else call. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, we need
somebody
one more.
else calls, you'll have to.
Yeah, let's see here. So we have 8 there. Yeah. Okay. All right.
8 plus you is 9.
8 plus me is 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice little group here.
Yeah. It's the Brady Bunch look.
Yeah, I am just. My problem is right now is that I'm very much a lefty. But I do not like MSNBC. It is just starting to irritate the fucking shit out of me.
That's the liberal Fox News. That's what it is.
It's the liberal Fox News, exactly. I mean, if I were a conservative, I wouldn't like Fox News. Yes, Phil.
I was thinking about my political bent, and that in the late 60s,
it's definitely bent. Okay, go ahead.
No. In the late 60s, I was very anti-government. I was anti-Vietnam War. And I believed I didn't trust the government, and I don't trust the government now. There's what I was hanging out at WBAI. It wasn't that I supported liberals or actually I ended up liking Republicans because they stopped the war in Vietnam, whether you like the way they did it or not. Yeah. It was going on from Johnson increased it. He increased the bombing, and it was Nixon that ended the war. Whether you like it or not, that's what happened. So I started to tend to be more of a conservative, more of a Republican because of the ending of the war.
Well,
and
you got to realize, though, that Nixon...
And individual values.
Nixon, when the day he took office as president...
Said he had a plan.
No, he said he had a plan. He had one on his desk.
He said it was secret.
And it was the same exact plan he finally adopted 6 years later. But after a lot of people had died as a result. So I don't consider...
with honor.
He could have ended that thing at any time in the way that he ended it, but he didn't. He waited too long to do it.
There were too many people making money off of that war. And that's why it didn't end. War is very good for an economy.
Yes.
And so, I lean Republican because of that. And a few other things. I mean, the EPA was instituted by Nixon. The 55-mile-an-hour speed limit was instituted by Nixon. And all of these things were Republican table.
Yeah.
So that's why I go to that direction. And I always believe that if you cripple people by doing stuff for them that they should be able to do on their own.
Okay.
And if you just give people stuff, you hurt them.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Let me ask Kevin, for instance. Kevin, why are you to the left?
I'm actually in the middle.
You're in the middle.
Yeah, I'm an independent.
Really? In other words, you don't go left or right, or are you right on some issues and left
drift
on
either
others?
way. It depends.
So what kind of issues are you to the left on, and what kind of issues are you to the right on?
Well, I drift more to the left right now because of all the crap with what's going on, up in the White House now. But it's hard to go. There's probably one or two things that I don't necessarily disagree with Trump on, but it's very few things. I mean, but there's a lot of things that I don't agree with the Democrats too.
Yeah.
You know, I like they eat their own. There's a lot of things that they're doing that I think they're right now they could be killing themselves right now.
Well, you know why we eat our own is because we're yummy.
Yeah. Little chocolate sauce. You know, and that goes back. It goes back to the Nixon times with me, because back then he made me not vote at all.
Mm-hmm.
He had me back where, you know, when that was going on, I was saying, fuck this. I don't even want to deal with politicians because of the shit that was going on then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's really funny because I was thinking the other day, my daughter is now right in the same era, like she's freshman in high school, so it's a couple of years behind. I was in probably sophomore, junior in high school when Nixon was getting impeached.
Yeah.
So it's kind of going full circle here, and she's seeing all the stuff that I saw.
Well, let me
going on with Trump.
Let me ask you all this question. You know, I have maintained for the longest time that the problem with America is that we came back from World War II with an attitude that we did the right thing and that we saved the world. Okay, basically. Wait a minute, let me finish, Phil. You could say yes, we did, but talk to the Russians, and the Russians will tell you they had a lot more people that died in their country, and that they, in fact, died because the United States didn't come to the table. But be that as it may, we came back from there feeling pretty good about ourselves, and quite frankly, we had every reason to. Okay, since then we haven't had a war that was right since. Korean War wasn't a just war. Vietnam wasn't a just war. I mean, what war have we fought in the last, since World War II, where we were the good guys?
War of 1812.
No, I said since.
I know.
Since.
I know. He said since. But.
We've been the world police. We're always getting into everybody else's shit.
Yeah, and telling them what they should do.
Yeah, exactly.
And for money. And this is all about
and oil.
Money.
Just money, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
Vernon's got his hand up.
Yes, Vernon. Yes, Vernon.
Fun fact, when Phil is giving Nixon all of these kudos about the EPA and these other things that happened during Nixon's reign, guess who was in control of Congress? Democrats. So none of that shit would have happened without Democrats.
It wasn't the same way then. There wasn't that infighting. They actually worked together.
But the majorities were Democrats.
But it's not like it is today. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, but I agree. There was more bipartisanship back then. But, you can't give Richard Nixon all these kudos without saying that the Democrats had something to do with it as well.
Oh, I forgot to laud the Democrats. They were so nice to let Nixon do those things. Yeah, okay.
See, that shit right there.
Let Nixon do anything.
That's it right there.
Let Nixon do anything. Nixon couldn't do shit until they passed a law that he could sign.
Yeah, but they passed laws, and he did sign them.
Well, this was also a time when there was cooperation between the two parties. We've lost that. We've completely
even the Tip
lost
O'Neill
that.
Reagan stuff.
Yeah, because it's been in control.
What would say that again, Charlie?
We lost that bipartisanship and that working together because Republicans have been in control. It's only when Democrats are in control that we suddenly can work together.
They were in control for 50 years.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
what do you mean the Democrats? What do you mean?
Look at all the good stuff that happened.
What do you mean the Democrats were in control for 50 years?
Civil rights happened under Democrats.
Yeah, the Congress was Democratic. What was it from the 40s to the 70s? It was once.
Phil, that was 50 fucking years ago.
It was the 90s before.
It was 50 years ago.
What was
Phil.
the guy that Alex doesn't like that is a pundit now on Fox News? Newt Gingrich. That's when they won the Congress. So it wasn't until Newt Gingrich that there was a Republican
How many
Congress.
years ago was that, Phil?
Yeah, but for 50 years before that, it was it was
so
only
50 years
Democrats.
before that, it was Democrats. All right, fine. It was also a time when we got Medicare and we got Social
that's when they
Security and we got a lot of
because
things.
the Democrats listen to the minority and the Republicans don't.
No, it has nothing to do with that. Right now, it's all about power, and right now there's a conspiracy to make sure that there's never another Republican in the White House or the Congress.
It has nothing to do with power. It has nothing to do with power. It has to do with self-preservation. And you have nothing but a bunch of politicians who simply live for only one thing: to get reelected.
That's right.
You know, they're not there because they're going to do the right thing. Mr. Smith does not go to Washington and stand there with a bunch of letters and pass out, you know, on the pile of letters. No, none of that.
Guess what's the only way? Guess what's the only way to get rid of that? The only way to get rid of that is public financing of elections. Public financing of elections.
Term limits.
Term limits just puts the bureaucrats in charge and puts more power in the lobbyists.
That's the problem. The bureaucrats.
No, I agree. I agree.
No. Term limits. You bring somebody in who doesn't know his butt from first base. Okay.
Yeah.
For the first year, they are very dependent upon their staff. The staff who's been there for a long time and they know how to get shit done.
Well, that's why Trump is doing it a different way, and the bureaucrats want to do it their way.
And it's working so well, isn't it, Phil?
Yeah, it will. 5 more years. 5 more years.
Immortal words of what was that Alaskan senator whose name I forget now? The woman.
She was the governor.
Yeah,
and ran for vice president.
What were we saying, Sibby?
Sarah Palin.
Sarah Palin. Yeah. How's that going? How's that going for you, Phil?
Yeah.
Anyway, very good. Sarah's going to run as a Democrat. Patrick's got his hand up.
Patrick.
I don't need the best people.
Patrick.
I don't need the best people. I'll always remember that line. I'll hire the best people.
Yeah.
I know the best people.
Okay. Patrick.
All right. So if term limits are so bad, why do we have them for the presidency? Why do we have them for the governorships? I mean, you know, like the governor here in Wisconsin, it's I think it's three terms. President at 2 terms. You know, different states have different term limits for their governors. But, you know, in every one of those, that first year is typically a learning time for anyone. So why is that so awful for other? I mean, you know, I would rather see senators run for 2 or 3 terms. I mean, Christ, that's 18 years right there. They run for 6-year terms. That's enough. They don't need to be in there for 30, 40 years. And for Congress people, it's a 2-year term. So let's say we give them 8 terms so that they can be on there for 16 years or equal what it would be for a senator. And that, I mean, goddamn, we don't need those fucking people in there forever. And that's
not supposed to be a job. It's supposed to be giving to public service.
Well, and, you know, I mean, you know, the presidency, then let's get rid of the term limits for the president because everybody loved Obama. You know, let him be the dictator. Everybody's so afraid that Trump's going to be a dictator. You know, I mean, that's why we have term limits for officers, and it should be extended to the Senate and the Congress.
Absolutely.
How many people here feel that Trump is really only working in his own self-interest?
Phil, come on. Phil, you know that, right?
I don't think he's working his own self-interest.
He's not?
Oh, come on.
No, I don't think so.
Bad mistake.
Come on.
Yeah, well, yes, Jeff.
That's fine.
Jeff?
I think Trump is obviously so interested in himself and maybe his wife and maybe his daughter. That's about it.
I think that that we have a president that runs this country primarily on ego, you know, and that if his ego gets bruised, oh boy, Lo and behold, the person who he is, you just, when you're in politics and people say things about you, you can't be thin-skinned about it because it's going to go on every day of the week, and he's thin-skinned. And then he operates and he reacts with a knee-jerk reaction with that thin skin, and it's scary. It's just scary. Yes, Jeff.
But wouldn't you say Nixon had that same issue?
To a lesser extent.
Yes, obviously.
His issues were that he could snatch defeat from the hands of victory.
Yeah.
He was famous for that. When he was graduating from Whittier College, he was going to graduate at the top of his class, and the night before they were going to reveal, who had the highest standings in classes, he broke in to the offices to see how he would wind up, and he got caught, and they almost didn't let him graduate. Okay? Now, it cut to Watergate. It was the same thing. There was no reason for him to have people break into Watergate because he was going to win that fucking election.
Did he order those people to do it, or was he just being loyal and protecting the people that got caught?
Why would he be loyal to those people if they broke in somewhere unless he asked them to do it?
Maybe because that's the kind of guy he was.
Yeah, no, that's the kind of guy he was. He couldn't.
He would, a stand-up guy.
There was no difference between going in.
Very low self-esteem.
Yeah,
Nixon had very low self-esteem.
Yes, that was his problem. Yes, Jeff.
Well, I don't often tell anybody this, but toward the end of Vietnam, one of the reasons that the war ended, and Nixon could have done it a lot sooner, was most of the money was coming to North Vietnam from Russia. And it came in on ships. Well, a bunch of engineers figured out how to take a big airplane and load it up with stuff and ship it into North Vietnam in their rivers and their lakes. And therefore, the Russians didn't want to lose all of their equipment. That's what ended the war. It's a technical issue. And Nixon would have never made it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nixon, the terms under which we left Vietnam were the exact terms that were sitting on the table when he took office in the beginning. And so that war went on much longer than it had to, and that was because he didn't do it. He didn't do anything about it, I mean, that was just the most horrible war we've ever been involved in. I mean, and the reason you were against it, Phil, is you were of draft age.
Yeah. Yes, I was.
Yeah, you were self-serving.
But I also didn't believe that it was a just war.
Well, no, you didn't believe it was a just war because your ass was on the line, Phil.
Not necessarily. I could have, gotten, my grades wouldn't have gotten me much, but I could have volunteered and were.
I mean, the only reason why I wasn't, why I missed the draft was simply because I went into the Navy and I spent 2 years as part of the Navy Reserve. And so I was exempt from the draft, but I did it by, it's the old joke about join the Navy and watch the Army at work.
I had bone spurs.
Foot spurs. Yes, Patrick.
I hate to break this, but the U.S. Civil War was the worst war. I mean, just the Battle of Gettysburg.
Oh, yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
58,000 casualties. And there's 58,000 names on the walls for Vietnam.
Well, let me argue with you a little bit on that. Okay, yes, there were more deaths in the Civil War, and then there were more deaths. There were a lot less deaths in World War II, and then there were a lot less deaths in Vietnam. But the reason is because of medicine, and the fact that. Let me finish, Phil. that we could triage people, and as each war came along, our ability to save the lives of people were hurt. In those days, in the Civil War, you got hit by a bullet, you died of gangrene, and that was it.
Sepsis.
Sepsis and so on. So that's
there was
one of the
another
reasons
thing
why.
about the Vietnam War. It was televised, and it was within hours. You saw what was going on.
It was kind of televised.
Count.
It was slow television.
Slow, yeah, within hours.
No, within days.
Okay, and you had every night. It was this many soldiers, were killed. It was no other war got that kind of attention.
But if we had the kind of medicine during the Vietnam War that we had during World War II, we were limited to that medicine, you would have seen the casualties 4 times as much as they were in Vietnam.
That's true.
Now, the casualties that we're seeing from Afghanistan and Iraq are also devastating because they're things that we had never anticipated before. The IEDs,
like the fact that people would shoot back.
There was diseases in the desert that these guys were getting stuff.
Charlie was saying something. What were you saying, Charlie?
I'm just saying what you're saying is true. If we had the medicine, the medical abilities like we have now, you'd have far fewer deaths in Vietnam and far fewer deaths in World War II. It's just that.
Absolutely.
And so
we're saving people that would never have survived back in Vietnam or World War II.
And the Civil War was devastating because, as I say, you get shot by a bullet. Yeah, they can retrieve the bullet out of you, but gangrene might set in, you'll die anyway. We had more people. If I remember after World War II, as a kid, people coming home without limbs. Okay? Now, they come home today without limbs, but not in the numbers that they once did. Wait a minute, because we're able to triage them better, okay? They do come back missing limbs, Phil. I know that, and your Stephen Stills or whatever that thing is.
Stephen Stiller Foundation.
Stephen Stiller's Foundation. I know all that, but still, if this were after World War II, you saw many more people missing limbs and so on. They were just coming back into the society because we did not have the triage. We could not get people fast enough to a hospital, so we had to cut their legs off on the battlefield. Yes, Patrick, and then Jeff.
Well, Jeff put his hand up just before.
Okay, Jeff.
Okay, well, my grandfather worked in World War II in the Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a carpenter, and he was an older guy. And he actually somehow cut his leg. And he died because of that.
Gangrene?
Gangrene?
Yeah, gangrene.
They had no medications.
It didn't, we were barely into antibiotics, I think, at the time. I think at the beginning of World War II, we didn't even have antibiotics.
We didn't have them.
And asbestos, they were wrapping the pipes with that in the shipyard. And these guys were smoking 4 packs of Chesterfields and immersed.
But we're talking about the war now, Phil.
Well, it was the war effort when they were building the ships.
Forget about the war effort. I'm talking about guys who are getting shot at and getting bullets in them.
He's got him smoking Chesterfields.
Yeah, what were you going to say, Patrick?
I was going to say something.
You're right as far as the medical stuff, but the difference is the Civil War was fought similarly to how the Revolution and the other wars were, where they were just walking into meat grinders.
Yep.
There was no guerrilla warfare yet. It was literally you're standing in lines and walking, and like with Gettysburg, Pickett and Lee, the Confederacy, they were walking across a couple of miles of a field at a disadvantage because the Union had the high ground. So, medicine does play into that, but when you're walking into a field of fire,
right.
And we never had that in Vietnam. There were battles that probably were similar, But I mean.
Well, let me give you an example. There's a silent film called The Big Parade. It was made about World War I. And one of the major scenes in it, which is just chilling, is that all these soldiers are marching and they're being picked off one by one by snipers, who are shooting at them. That's the way we ran wars. I mean, you go back to to when America was first formed in the French and Indian Wars or whatever, and the Indians, the way they fought is they hid behind trees and they fired arrows at you. Meanwhile, the British soldiers just walked in a line, and the people in the front got killed, and then the people in back of them got killed, and so on. And you hope that you were on the very rear of this group of people,
There was also the wars that were fought. People wore uniforms. You could identify who was the combatant.
Yeah, bright red is a really good idea.
Yeah, well, but what the situation is now, Afghanistan and Iraq and even Vietnam, you didn't really know who the enemy was. They blended into the community, and then they'd strike out.
Also, the science is different today. I mean, we have drones that can go in and wipe out enemies and so on, without us having to put our people right in the way of be part of the cannon fodder. Or become cannon fodder. So it was. It's just that it has changed a lot, and so we see the numbers go down. I mean, we look at the numbers of people who got killed, say, in the Iraq War, and it's so minor in comparison to the wars before it. And as you go back in wars, the death tolls get larger and larger, and then you get to the Civil War. You can't believe how many people died in the Civil War. I mean,
you see Vernon?
Vernon. I have a hard time because everybody's so small now.
I know, that's why I'm.
Yeah, Vernon.
One of the things I found amazing about Gettysburg, and I took the family up there and we toured the battlefield, is that all of those casualties occurred in 3 days. The battle only lasted 3 days, and there was only one civilian casualty during the Battle of Gettysburg. Only one. All the rest of them were combatants.
Wow. How many people died in Gettysburg?
58,000.
Wow.
And that's why I said the Vietnam War had 58,000 names from the entire 15 years or whatever the official thing is. That's why when I hear people talk about wars, it's incomprehensible until you look at just specifically Gettysburg. When you've got 58,000 casualties from alive
3 days. 3 days.
It's amazing, and that's why I had to bring that up, because it batted Vietnam War, World War I, World War II. At least at that point, we weren't doing the meat grinder walks anymore. I mean, World War I, you had trench warfare. You did have some of the walking, but it was changing. And World War II was a totally different strategy.
Right. Does anybody know how many people died in Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
140,000 in Hiroshima.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, somebody, Matt Crash mentions here that Antietam was the worst, most brutal day of the Civil War. I don't know how many died in that.
Where was that?
Yes, Tony.
You know what I just did since you mentioned Vietnam? I just did a Google search, and they actually have the wall of faces where they show everybody that's on the wall, like pictures of them, and you can go over the faces of the people. I wonder if you guys know anybody who died in Vietnam. Does anybody? You can actually see when they were born when you go over it. It's in alphabetical order.
I'm sure I did, but I
does anybody here know anybody who died in Vietnam?
Because you can just type it in.
I'm sure I did. I remember there was local kids that died, that I knew.
Wow, Alex, they died young. I'm looking at this.
Most of them were a year or two older.
See,
than
here's my theory about war. Here's my theory about war. I think that if we hold a war, we should send all the old people first.
20 years old.
Because it's kind of like
people 79 and up.
No, wait a minute. Here's the reason why. There are a couple of reasons why. Number one, if you have a refrigerator and you have milk, you use the old milk first, the oldest milk first, and then you get to the newer milk later. Okay? The other reason would be is if you sent nothing but if you started with the oldest people first to go to war, there wouldn't be any wars.
Too many young people dying, Alex. You got to see their faces.
Yeah.
They're like babies.
I know. I mean,
were.
It's sad. Yeah.
No, and those that survived came back with such mental problems as a result of
heroin addicts.
Yeah, I mean, it's just terrible, So
look at my name Magno. See if there's anybody.
If there's anybody named Magno there.
Yeah, I can see that at search. You never know.
Yeah,
because I know my whole family.
See if you can find somebody named Schwarzman. I don't think so.
Oh, I've actually
there's only one.
Magno. I found a Magno.
Did you find a Magno? Really?
It's Campos Magno.
Campos Magno?
Army. He died, date of birth 1933.
Uh-huh.
And he was a
33 would have been too young for Vietnam. What? I mean, too old for Vietnam.
He was a casualty in November 8th, 1965. Branch of Service Army.
Really?
Yeah.
He could have been in the military for quite a while.
Yeah, that's true.
By the time that happened, it was 33, and then when was Vietnam? What year was Vietnam?
And he died in 65.
65. So he would only be 36, 37 years old. Yeah.
He was one of those military advisors.
Yes, they were all military.
Those were in
advisors.
59, 60.
Yeah. And Sibby, I guess none of this means a lot to you because you were in India at the time, right?
Yeah.
How about Uncle Tanus?
Who's that?
Well, you stop with the Uncle Tanus.
It's sad. I got to get off this page. I'm getting emotional here. Too many people young, Alex.
Yeah, no, it's just all young. It's mostly young people. That's the problem.
And some of these kids,
as they say, if you forced old people to go to war and then got to the young people, you'd find there wouldn't be very many wars because it's the old people that send the young people off to wars. Right, Kevin?
This kid looks like he's 17.
Right?
Yep. Maybe.
Yeah. Just wanted to bring you into the conversation, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm here.
I know you are.
Kevin's too young for Vietnam.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I just missed the draft like you did.
I missed it in 72.
Yeah, and I just missed it in 73 or 4. The provincial draft ended in 74, didn't it?
No, it went to an all-volunteer army the week that my lottery number came up. So my lottery in June, the third week of June, 1972, was the lottery that I was in. I was number 64, which meant I was going. And that lottery didn't count, even though it was published. And there was no other lotteries after that.
And damn it, it's the only lottery you ever won.
The war went to 74, but the lottery was over, and the draft
some sort of draft
because it was an all-volunteer army.
Well, the Vietnam War started when I was being mustered out of the Gulf of Tonkin incident happened shortly before that. I think when I was getting mustered out, I was mustered out with some people who were on the USS Maddox and the Sea Turner Joy. So, but that was kind of the real beginning of it, full bore. But anyway, hey, listen, there's our theme song. Gee, so nice of you guys to come by tonight, and Sibby, good having you here. Phil, terrific having you here.
Thank you.
Here we go. A little Morse code, please, from Vernon. And Patrick, don't look at those people. It's going to make you depressed. Patrick Blazik, thank you so much. Tony, I meant. Tony. Patrick, thank you so much for your participation this evening. It's always welcomed. Kevin, good to see you. Jeff, good to see you. Charlie, good to see you too. Hey, listen, I think all of you should give a big wave goodbye, and I will wave back at you. See? Okay, there they go, folks. That's our citizen panel for tonight. That's our citizen panel for the week. And we thank all of them for having joined us this evening. And we will hopefully see them again next week. We're only going to do 2 days next week because it is Thanksgiving after all, and we have to celebrate a happy Turkey Day. I'm Alex Bennett. I'll be back on Tuesday. There's no Damien, but I will be here at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody. See you later.